Hello and what is up guys, right here and welcome to a tutorial on how to give your automation to BeamNG cars custom engine sounds. Today I'm going to go over all the stuff you need to use, you need to download, you need to do to give your automation to BeamNG cars custom sounds. And if you guys want to follow along, you totally can. All the links to download everything today will be in the description down below, as well as a step-by-step list, literally a numbered list of instructions on what to do step by step. So if you guys want to follow along, you for sure can. You can also join my Discord, link in the description down below, where I can help you guys out or answer any questions on there, etc, etc. Alright, so what do we actually need to give our cars these custom sounds? Obviously, first, you're going to need your car itself. So I've got my car right here. I'll leave a link to download the car down below if you guys want to use this car to give it custom sounds, so you guys can follow along. If not, you can use your own car as well. It's going to be pretty much the exact same way. So next thing you're going to need, obviously, is the sound files. Now, for purposes of this demonstration, we're using sound files from Assetto Corsa. This is going to be an actual mod from Assetto Corsa. If you guys don't know what Assetto Corsa is, it's a racing game that you can download on Steam or whatever. It just costs money, but the game is, it's downloadable. I'm using mods from that game. The mods itself are totally free. I got my mods from a website called Race Department. The mods you can get are totally free from there. There's tons of different engine sounds, tons of different cars, etc, etc. So I'm using engine sounds from that game, from a mod from that game. I've got my mod right here. The mod just called Boss 302 HPE 650 Sounds. It is a 302 Boss engine from a Ford Mustang with 650 horsepower. That's what the engine sounds like. It sounds pretty good. We'll listen to it later on in the video. But I'm going to show you guys how to get it all set up. I'll leave a link to where you can download this mod in the description below. I'll actually just leave a link to download this mod itself as is. But if you guys want to check out Race Department and the mod itself, I'll leave links down below for that too. After that, you really need one thing just to start off. So you need your sounds, you need your car. I recommend using WinRAR or another program like 7-Zip so you can access the actual zip files, which is the BeamNG mod, nice and easy. You can obviously not use that and just extract the folder and then recompile it into a zip folder, but I'm getting ahead of myself. We don't need to do any of that. Just download WinRAR. It's totally free, obviously. If you just keep using the free trial, it's totally free, and you never have to actually sign up for the full thing. I've got my car right here. It actually looks like the WinRAR logo because I have WinRAR on and activated, basically. I've got my mods right here. So what we want to do is get MP3 sounds from this mod, or .wav sounds. Now, you can use either MP3 sounds or .wav sounds for automation to BeamNG mod engine sounds, and maybe other file types as well, but I know this works perfectly fine, so we're just getting these sounds today. So we've got our WinRAR installed, we've got our car, we've got our modification. Well, what we need to do now is get the actual sounds. How do I get the sounds? Okay, so the mod itself comes in a zip folder. We can actually go right click, we can go extract here, and then you will get your files that are actually inside the folder itself. So I've got two files that came inside this folder. One file is just called GUIDS. We can go ahead, we don't need that today, just delete that. And the other one is called A3DR underscore boss 302 underscore lagoon underscore seca underscore 650.bank. This is a bank file. Now these are the files that Assetto Corsa uses, which holds a bunch of different actual audio files in the game itself. So in Assetto Corsa, in automation in BeamNG, every car has multiple different sound files depending on how much RPM your car is spinning at, how much RPM the engine's running at. It's going to play a different sound. That sounds pretty reasonable, right? In this bank file is multiple different WAV files. So what we need to do is actually turn this .bank file into all the WAV files. And that's where these two things over here come in. I've got two converters to convert these files into what we need. I'll leave links to download them as well in the description and how to use everything. It's very straightforward, very simple to use. So first things first, we're going to go to a folder and it's called Bank to FSB. And I'll leave a link to download this, like I said, down below, guys. So inside of this Bank to FSB folder, we've got a few things. We've got all the things. We've got something called batch, fmod, fmod ex, we've got fmod l, etc, etc. We could ignore literally everything in this except for the application file. That's called quick BMS, and it has like this little blue and white kind of square thing in there. So you want to look for quick BMS. We're going to double click this to open it up. And two things are going to open up at the same time. We've got this window right here, which is the actual application, and we've got this window right here. So this window tells us we need to select the BMS script to use. So all you have to do for this part is just click script.bms. Now this is always going to be in your bank to FSB folder right here. So if you open bank to FSB, it's right here in this folder, script.bms. So when it asks you for that, you just have to find out where it is. So it's on this PC, desktop, bank to FSB folder. So just gotta find out where it is. In my case, it's right here. And then just click it and click open. And that's done. Now it's opened up another window in front of this. Now it's called, it just says, select the input archives / files to extract, etc., etc. What this is asking is, what bank file do you want to convert to an FSB file? Easy as that. So we have to find our bank file. And right now it's selected into desktop into bank to FSB. So we're going to actually go back here to our desktop and just find what we're looking for. So we're going to look for A3DR Boss 302, which is right here. We're going to click this and click open. So now we've selected our bank file to convert to FSB. And now it's asking us, select the output folder where extracting the files. So we're actually going to go ahead, right click on our desktop, new folder. We're going to make a new folder just for simplicity here. We're going to call this FSB files. Name them whatever you want. We're calling it FSB files. We're going to find that down here on our desktop, FSB files. Then we can just click save. You can also save it to your desktop. I like to keep everything organized in there. So you want to click save. And now it just says in the application itself, in this window right here, it just says press enter to close or quit the window. We're done. Easy as that. We can press enter and it closes the window. Or you can just exit out near the top right that was there. Now, we're back to our desktop. We've got our FSB files folder, in all caps of course, with one file inside of it. We can click it open. Now we have our FSB file. Ours is called 0000000.fsb. Now this is still not a WAV file. We need to convert this from an FSB file to WAV files. This is going to give us multiple files for different RPM ranges of the car itself. We're going to go ahead and exit out of this and open up our next converter, which is right here, FSB to WAV. Again, I'll have links to download this below. And this is much easier. So we've got a few files here. We've got one application file. We're going to find it right there, application, FSB extractor. It's got these sort of green tiles. Click it, open it up. And it's going to have this window here. So what we got to do next is we got to go File, Open. We're going to go to our desktop. We're going to go to FSB files in all caps and find our 0000000.fsb. So you got to find out where yours is stored and click on it and click open. Easy as that. So now we are greeted with a ton of different names, different files right here. These are all of the sound files for the engine. I know, we're already almost done. It's absolutely crazy, I know. So what we're going to do here is we are going to press Control A to select everything. You can also click on it, scroll down to the bottom, and then hold Shift and click. So as long as you select everything, that's what you want to do. Then you want to right click on it. You want to click Extract to Folder, just for keeping this nice and easy. And then you're going to click FSB files. We're going to save ours into our FSB files folder just so everything's all nice and stored together. Then click OK. And that's it. Easy as that. Go ahead, exit out of it. For some reason, mine actually gives me an error sometimes. Yours might give you an error too. That's okay. It just says access violation at the address. Ignore this. It's totally fine. Everything works perfectly fine. Click OK. Exit out of this window here. Now we're back to our desktop again. If we go back into our FSB files folder, we are greeted with none other than tons and tons and tons of WAV files. We can actually right click on anything. Right click on this, properties. It's a WAV file. So we're done, right? No, we're not done yet. I'll show you what we have to do next. We've got all these WAV files. Now we have to actually bring them into BeamNG.Drive, into the engine itself, into the BeamNG mod. But just for keeping this thing nice and clean, just for keeping everything organized, we're going to go ahead and delete some sounds we don't want. Because some sounds are called things like shift. It's literally just the sound of shifting. Some sounds called wind. It's wind. So it's not only the engine sounds, it's all the sounds related to the car basically in every different aspect. So we're going to go ahead and actually we're going to find here we got wind draft mono. It's the very bottom. We're going to hold shift, click all the way up to backfire, and then click delete on our keyboard because I don't want those sounds. We also don't want this sound called 1_ex. We also don't want the FSB file anymore. We can delete that if we wanted to be honest. So now we've got this folder with all the files that we do want. Why do we want these files? Because these files contain all the engine sounds, the actual engine revving, the engine sounds, etc. And we can see they actually are all labeled. They're all labeled somewhat, generally from 891 RPM. This file is called engine A or engine B 00891, so it's from 891 RPM all the way up to ENGB 6207 or EXHL 7734. So these are all RPMs. So this engine that we've got revs to 7700 RPM. Now your engine for your automation to BeamNG car might rev differently, so just keep that in mind. They might have to sort of guess where the RPM goes. So what I want to do next, and what I'm going to tell you guys to do, is to listen to all of the files. Sometimes when you download mods, let's say from Race Department, the folder itself, or all the WAV files itself, might not be named properly at all, because people are just making these mods themselves, and they might not care what they're named, because no one's going to pick apart the bank files, except for us. I know, crazy, right? So, we're lucky, because in this mod, everything's labeled somewhat. At least we've got it labeled by RPM. What I'm going to tell you guys to do is listen to all the engine sounds, starting from the bottom. There's 3 different engine sounds from this car. There's ENGA, ENGB, and EXHL. For this video, I'm using sounds from EXHL for the on-throttle sounds, and then sounds from ENGA and B for the off-throttle sounds. In Assetto Corsa, some of these sounds are for outside of the car, and some are for inside of the car, is what this is. Some mods might not have this labeled at all, so again, listen to all the sounds. And what we're going to do is rename the sounds in order from lowest RPM to highest RPM. Alright, so we can rename this, for example, EXHL underscore 00891. We can actually rename that, and you can either rename it to 891, so you know that's how much RPM it's supposed to be at, or I like just to rename it to something simpler even than that. I just like to rename it to 1. So I know that is the very, very, very first sound that we're going to have in our list here. Alright? And if you want, you can actually use the other sound that came with the engine in this engine. I'll leave a link to download the engine sounds itself in order. So, I've already got all these sounds over here. Already all labeled. Right here. So I just moved them from my other desktop. I've got all the sounds here labeled from 1 to 8 for on-throttle sounds. Then we've got from 2 to 10 for off-throttle sounds. Why am I using 2 to 10? So one of the sounds is an idling sound, which ours is called number 1. So that's our idling sound. It's an idle sound that we're going to have playing when the car is idling, like, you know, all the time. So we want to separate this into 2 sections. Sounds that the engine makes when you are accelerating, when you are hitting the throttle of the car, when you are pushing the gas. And then you want sounds that it makes when the car is letting off the gas. So when you're not accelerating the car, when you're not giving it more throttle. The reason being is because BeamNG works in a way that it plays a sound when you're on throttle, and it plays a sound when you're off throttle at every RPM. So we will have engine sounds 1 to 8 being on throttle. Then we'll have engine sounds A2 to A10 for off throttle. So we've actually started the highest RPM with A10. And you are totally free to add your own sounds here or there if you guys want, or modify the sounds. I would recommend Audacity for modifying sounds, the sound volume of these things. I apologize if that was too loud earlier. You can go ahead and actually change these sounds, the volume of them, the pitch, etc. Just for purposes of this demonstration, though, we are using the sounds as is, basically. So, I've got these sounds here, all labeled, all organized, in the order that I want to use them, basically. And in the order that BeamNG is going to have the best time, or that we're going to have the easiest time implementing these into BeamNG. And you'll see why in a second here. So, what we're going to do now is actually put these sounds into the car itself. So we have to go back to our car, the Banavir Plus 8 Touring. So what we're going to do next now is open up the car itself. So we've got our car right here, the Banavir Plus 8 Touring. We're going to go ahead and open this up with our WinRAR. And you might get a pop-up saying, please purchase WinRAR license, like this. You can just click exit out of that. Everything's totally fine here now. What we've got to do is put these .wav files into the car itself. So you'll find where these files go by opening the car itself, by double-clicking, then going into Art, Sound, Engine, and then you'll see this long alphanumeric combination. you can just ignore what it is. Well, we'll just click it again, and it's the last folder basically. Now this contains all the stock engine sounds. We don't need those anymore. We can go ahead and delete all of them. We're gonna click on the bottom one. We're gonna go to the top, hold Shift, click it, so they're all selected, then delete by pressing the delete key on your keyboard. It's gonna ask you if you want to delete the files. Click yes. Problem solved. That's all deleted. Everything's good to go. Now we can go ahead and highlight all of our engine sounds here and drag them into the folder. And this might pop up here to ask if you just want to put all these in the folder itself. You're going to click OK. And there we go. We've got all the engine file sounds, all the sounds that we made, that we got from Assetto Corsa mod, into the BeamNG car. All that's left to do now is modify the BeamNG car's code to actually use these sounds, because they are different names than what the stock engine sounds names were. So we can go back by pressing this here. Go back again. Then you see a folder called blends. So we can click this. We can click the next thing, which is actually a text file. It is called a really long alphanumeric combination again. Then it's called blah 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 blah. It's a JSON file. We can double click this to open it up. So what we gotta do is convert these or change these into our engine sounds. So we have to just change the names into our engine sound names. So we've got numbers 1 to 8 for on throttle and A2 to A10 for off throttle. So up here, the first top half here, so from this bracket to this bracket is all the engine sounds where the engine is off throttle. So we can go ahead and delete every one except for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, because number 1 is our idle sound regardless. So we're going to go ahead and delete everything except for 10. So we're going to go ahead and just click here and just delete like half for now. We'll count it up later. So we'll need 10. So we've got our lines here. We've got to change these now into the numbers itself. So this is going to be A2 because that's our, no, it's going to be actually, sorry, 1. So it's going to be 1 is our idle sound for both on throttle and off throttle. 2. So now what we've done is changed all the names here to the engine sound names we have on our left here. So we've got our on throttle sounds, which are on the bottom. So we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Those are all of our on throttle sounds. And on the top, we've got our off throttle sounds. We've got 1, then we've got A2 to A10. So we've got all of our sounds here implemented. So now when it looks for the sounds, it's going to find these sound files. All it's left to do is change the RPMs. So this car that we have revs to, I think, 7,500 RPM. And we want to have the engine sounds lining up with that RPM. So right now, we just deleted a bunch. And right now, the on-throttle sounds play from 4,000 to 7,000 RPM. And the off-throttle sounds play from 800 to 1,400 RPM. So it's not what we want yet. And what we have to do is line it up so it's the proper RPM. This might be a little bit of a guessing game because we can't hear what it sounds like until everything's all said and done. So we got to go ahead. We actually have to delete the comma here because we don't want a comma again for our last line. So no commas for the very last lines of any one of these. So where it says 1476 close bracket, no comma. And where it says 6997 close bracket, no comma. For the last engine sound line of the on throttle and the off throttle sounds, you do not want a comma after that. What the comma does is it basically tells the code to look for another sound file underneath it. It's basically saying, okay, we have this sound, and then it says, okay, there's another sound underneath it, looks for that one, etc., etc. So we've got to change these to the proper RPM. 800 RPM is about the idling RPM. So both cars should have, for the one sound file called 1.wav, we want 800. 800, close brackets. And next we can go up to a higher amount. So we can change these both to 800 actually. So we'll do the on throttle sounds first. So 800. I like to go in generally a pretty equal distance of RPM for each engine sound. You can find what works best for you because the sounds they might be different, etc., etc. So we're just gonna go from 800, 1600. So we're going up by 800 for now. So 24, 3200, 4000. We're gonna go to 5000 here. We're gonna go to 6000, and we'll leave it at 7000. Maybe 70. Yeah, we'll go to 7,000. So we've got engine sounds from 800 to 7,000. We've changed it from increments of 800 down low to bigger increments up high. Now we have to do the off throttle sound. So we'll do the same thing. So this is going to be 800. And this is going to be 7,000 at the very top. We can change this to 6,500. Or we'll change it to, yeah, we'll change it because we've got more sounds for off throttle. So we'll go 6,500. Well, 5,500, 4,500, 35. We're just sort of guessing here. 2,500, 1,500. So that's not going to work. So we're going to go 65, 6,000, 55, 45, 35, 25, 1,500. And this will be 1,000 RPM. So we're looking at engine sounds from a bunch of different RPMs, and that's all set up and done. So what we want to do actually now is hop into BeamNG.Drive and test how this sounds. All right? You can go back and forth changing this as much as you want, but this is the basics of how it's done. This is basically everything you need to do to actually get it to work. We're going to go ahead and press Control S, or you can click on File and click Save. Then you'll get a pop-up here asking File, all of this stuff, which is this file up here, like the name of this file, was changed, was modified. Do you wish to update it? Yes. Now it's updated. It's all good. Go ahead, exit out of that, exit out of that. Now we can hop into BeamNG.Drive and see what this sounds like to test it out. So after you've moved your car back into the BeamNG mod folder, you can load up BeamNG.Drive and check out your vehicle. This is a Batavia Plus 8 Touring. It's a new wagon that I made, and I think it looks gosh darn gorgeous. Now we can go ahead and press V on our keyboard to start up the car itself. You might notice it sounds a little different. We could probably use a different idle sound, actually. This one's not the best idle sound. It's not the same idle sound I used in my previous car, but it sounds much different than the stock V8 sound. We can go ahead and rev it. It's not perfectly done. There are some issues it sounds like, but it sounds so good. We could probably change the RPM of some things. We can go ahead and drive it, actually. Restarting, we just launched again. It sounds good. It sounds good. Turn off the car here. And that is the Batavia Plus 8 Touring. And that is a custom engine sound that we've put in our car. If you guys have any questions, feel free to join my Discord. Again, link is in the description down below. I'll make sure to have a full tutorial in the description as well on how to do all this stuff. If you have any issues, like I said, you can ask in Discord. I can maybe help you guys export some audio files, etc. Or give you guys tips on where to get them from. Like I said again, though, I get most of my mods actually for audio mods at least from Race Department is a website, racedepartment.com I think is what it's called. There's also other places to get mods as well. I'm not sure if Gran Turismo mods or other game mods like Need for Speed are in bank files as well. But if they are, you can go ahead and convert any file from any game or from those games from bank files to FSB, FSB to WAVs, and then just use those engine sounds to your heart's content. I hope this tutorial was helpful. If you guys thought it was helpful and you guys watched all the way through, please like the video. If you guys don't like the video, I'm honestly just gonna cry, and I won't do more tutorials. I mean, just kidding. I'll do more tutorials because it's fun. I like doing it. I apologize if I talk too fast in this tutorial. You might have to play it at half-time speed, at 50% speed. But I've got a very bad headache, a very bad head cold right now, and my voice is absolutely killing me. So leave a comment if you guys have questions. I can answer comments down below. I can try to. If not, Discord is the best way. Hope you guys have fun putting some custom engine sounds in your cars. Thank you guys so much for hanging out. Thanks guys for hanging out and watching this tutorial, I guess. And I will see you guys in the next video.